I love seeing the world from the peak of the mountain. As we see in like Hunter x Hunter, when Gon meets his dad, it's incredible. Like he gets up to the very top. And this is something that I've realized myself as well too, from like the hikes that I've gone on, from the journeys that I've done, from the weights that I've lifted, from the conversations that I've had. Everybody has a different goal and a different peak. Your peak is going to be completely different from my peak, and my peak is going to be completely different from your peak. I've always been somebody that likes to reach the very tip top so I can see the overview of everything that stands within front of me. And within the state that I live, everybody is always about like these 14ers are like, oh, I climbed a 14er, or I did this like great 14er thing, and I'm over here, I'm like, dude, I've lived here my whole life, and I've never felt like I need to climb a 14er. Like, don't get me wrong, like, it's great. I've climbed a couple of 13ers, but like the 14ers were just never something that I wanted to do. For anybody that doesn't know, a 14er is 14,000 feet above elevation, and you can be like, that's really high. But like for me, growing up where I grew up, that was never really an issue for me. But I always loved going up on top of mountains and being able to look over everything and be able to see like an overall perspective of what the world is. This is what other people have done for me. This is what I've done for other people, because we always get stuck in the same routine. We get stuck in the same roll of whatever we have going on in our daily lives. And then we get so sucked in of just like waking up, going to work, sitting down, watching television, going to bed. Like that's what we do every single day. So I'm like, how can I break out of that reality? How can I do things differently? And it's like, well, I have the power of choice, just as you have the power of choice. You have the power of choice to change where your peak is. If your peak is up at the tippy top where most people are not going to make it, that's awesome. If your peak is also at like the place where most people make it, that's awesome as well. Your peak is your peak, wherever that may be. So if you want to be able to climb higher and higher, just go a little bit further than you did last time, and a little bit further the next time, and the next time, and the next time. The more you do that, the higher you'll start to get, and then all of a sudden one day you'll be up at the top, and you'll be like, how did I get up to the top? Like I always used to stop where everybody else stopped. But like that's the thing about progress, that's the thing about change, is it happens in incremental steps. It happens 1% at a time, one day at a time. How are you going to be making those small incremental improvements? You don't have to read a whole book or a whole manga or watch a whole anime series in a day. Like think about Hunter x Hunter. There's 130 plus episodes. Do you have enough time to watch that in a day? It's like, no. You could probably watch it over a week, and then like you can watch it over a week, and then like you accomplish that said thing. You can do the same thing like with climbing mountains or growing a channel or reading a book or reading a manga. Like you can do it over a week's period of time. You dedicate a certain amount of hours per day, and the way that I would highly recommend you doing this so that you can start to reach the peaks, grab a sheet of paper or grab an Excel doc or go to Google Sheets or something along those lines and document every single hour of your day. I did this before back in school. I've done this as well in my life as well at this point in time, is I'd be like, okay, so I wake up at 6:40, 6:30 or so. I walk out, I go grab a cup of coffee. Once I grab the cup of coffee, then I come back, I drink my cup of coffee. I will think about the dream that I had for a brief moment. I'll probably check Reddit, check my stats on YouTube. I'll look at that, and then I'm like, okay, that'll take me maybe an hour or so. Maybe I'll respond to some comments that I get as well too. From there, then I will post on some other video and think about some other ideas on what I'm going to do, like reanalyze my thumbnail for the day, look at some titles, watch the video, make sure that it's improved a little bit. Like I do that for like the first hour or so, and like 8:30 comes around. Once 8:30 comes around, it's like then I hop in the shower, I make some breakfast, and then I get to work on making some phone calls, editing the videos for you, and then from there, like that's like about a 3 to 4 hour stint where I'm just like doing that throughout the entire day, not looking at my phone. Once noon comes around, noon, 1-ish or so, I'll have lunch, and then I'll go take like a 2-hour walk. After that 2-hour walk, depending on what time I ended up going, I'll either go right to the gym, go lift for a little while, talk with some friends, come back at 7. Once I get back at 7 or 8, then I'll make some dinner, eat that food. Once I eat that food, then I'll either maybe, depending on the day, like I would relax beforehand, like with some other like YouTube content or things like that. I've been shifting it a little lately where I'm like, okay, like let's go edit a video or something along those lines, because I like having like a 3 to 4 hour block when it comes down to editing or making content. So it really depends on there. But then from there, then I go to bed, and then I start all over the next day. I used to think that consistency was a bad thing, but I like the consistent lifestyle. I enjoy it. It's fun for me. Like being able to go to the gym every single day. Like I'm able to be consistent there. And if you've watched a couple of videos that I had the past couple of days, we've been talking about consistency. You need to be consistent with what you do. That's why I do daily uploads on this channel, is because it's me showing what consistency can involve. It doesn't have to be a big consistency thing, but it's just consistency, because consistency is key. If you can be consistent each and every single day and show up something magical is bound to happen. And it's a matter of you showing up in the ways that you want to show up. You can be consistently working towards the top of that mountain every single day. You might not reach the top of the mountain like they do in Hunter x Hunter in the single day, and you'll probably have some other people discourage you. Like before Gon got up on the tree and was like climbing up, the dude that he was talking to was like, oh, be careful, like you're a kid, like a lot of people have to be like carried down to the bottom of the mountain. And Gon's like, okay, like whatever, I'm just gonna go up to the top of the mountain because that's what I do. Like that's what you can do as well too, is if you have this goal, if you have this idea in your mind, you just start walking, you just start going. It might take you a couple of days, it might take you a couple of weeks, it could take you a couple of months. It's the same thing as like when a baby is being cultivated, made, I don't know what word would be best for that, but like it's one of those things. Like it takes 9 months on average for a baby to be born. So depending on what you're working on, it could take it 6 months, it could take a day, it could take 30 seconds, it could take a year, you're just taking small little incremental steps every single day for you to be able to get to that place that you want to be able to get to. And then once you get to the peak of whatever mountain it is that you're climbing, you can look around and you can be like, okay, this is awesome. I'd like to go over to this peak now. And then what do? You just start walking. You start making your journey to that other mountain. Once you get to that other mountain, it's like, oh, okay. Like I like this view up here. It's like, there's another mountain over there. All right, I'm going to go look at that other mountain. Because life is all about the journey. Like you can get to the top of any mountain that you want to. It's a matter of, are you enjoying the journey and the process of getting to that said place? Because if you're enjoying the journey and the process of getting to that said place, then you will go climb any mountain, you'll get to the top of any view that you have ever wanted to in your entire life. And I've always been somebody that likes being able to look over everything, like I said, because I get to see these different routes, these different paths that I can take when I'm up at the tippy top. You can do this as well too. Or you can have somebody ask you these different questions, or you can ask yourself these questions. Like find somebody that you're close with and just be like, hey, I'm just curious, like what are 3 areas that you would highly recommend that you think I can improve on? Or like what are 3 areas that I succeeded? You can ask both of those questions and they might be like, well, I don't know. And it's just like, depending on your relationship with the person, they will give you the right advice. And if you're like, hey, you won't hurt my feelings, I promise. I'm just trying to improve. I want to grow. I want to try to do things differently than I have beforehand. And I'm just curious as to what you think. Like I could do a little bit different than what I'm doing right now because I just want to be in a better place. I want to be able to be more friendly, more charismatic, more outgoing. And I'm just curious, like, what is the thing with you being my best friend and my family member that I could do just like slightly better? And then whatever they say, don't get upset at them because you asked them for that answer because you want to be able to reach to the top of the mountain. They might not want to reach to the top of the mountain, but then you can at least be an inspiration to them by demonstrating this is what's possible when somebody does want to change. Because I've come to realize from other people that I've talked with, from other clients that I've had, is they do not want to change. A lot of people don't want to look at the darkness. They don't want to look at their self. They don't want to look at themselves in the mirror, because they're afraid of what will be at the top of the mountain. But every single time that I've ever looked at the darkness, every single time that I've ever looked in the mirror, every single time that I've ever made it to the top of the mountain, it's been the most gratifying and fulfilling moment that I've ever had. So I want to inspire you to go do that same thing. Whatever it is, a little bit of struggle is perfectly okay because it makes your life more meaningful. You start to think in different ways. You start to become more aware. You start to become more confident because each challenge, each adversity, each mountain, each peak that you reach makes you more confident in yourself. And if you have self-confidence, if you have self-esteem, if you have self-discipline, like in the video that I talked about a couple days ago, then you are in the exact place that you need to be. And the only way to develop the self is by doing things that are challenging for the self. If it's leaving a job, if it's going out on your own, if it's moving out and living by yourself, if it's meditating, if it's journaling, if it's listening back to content, if it's listening back to your own words, if it's asking different questions, if it's saying hello to random strangers on the street, if it's waving to people, if it's just like acknowledging and smiling and making statements, whatever it is, it will help you grow yourself. It'll help you grow your esteem. It'll help you become more powerful than you have ever been, because these are things that I myself have done, and I know it works because I feel confident. I don't want to say superior, but I feel superior. Like I do. I feel ecstatic. I feel wonderful. I feel joyful. I feel happy. I feel all these magnificent things because I have climbed over mountains, and I know that regardless of what anybody else has said to me, and this will apply to you as well too, when you detach from certain scenarios, that whatever anybody else has said to me is only a reflection of their own internal state that I am showing to them, and they don't like seeing the light. They don't want to see the light. They don't want to see the dark within themselves as well too, because they're happy getting carried down the mountain because they tried, this is too hard, I'm giving up, and they're going back down to the mountain, which is okay, because if they do that that, and then they train harder. And it's like, okay, what can I do differently to make it so that I can reach the top the next time? It's like, okay, well, maybe I need to train a little bit harder. Maybe I need to walk a little bit more. Maybe I can try some different things. And then like you start to implement those different things to help you grow in whatever way it is that you're wanting to grow. So it's like, okay, maybe I'll read one more book. Maybe I'll look at things in a different way. Maybe I'll listen to one more lecture. Maybe I'll watch one more video. Maybe I'll go on another walk. Maybe I'll journal every single morning. Maybe I'll write about my dreams. Maybe I'll meditate for 5 more minutes. Maybe I won't look at my phone as much as I was. Maybe I will start to sell more. Maybe I'll ask different questions. Maybe I'll have more intriguing conversations. Maybe I will be more of myself. Maybe I'll step into my authenticity. You start to do those things, your world around you is going to change because you decided to train, because you decided to work, because you decided to be somebody new. And when you become somebody new, everything else around you changes as well too. Then you can reach new peaks, you can reach new heights, you can start to see things in a way that you've never seen them beforehand. And if you're interested in these things, highly recommend that you just keep trying, you keep working, you keep testing, you keep taking one step at a time, because those individual steps that you take every single day, they compound, and then all of a sudden, it's like the penny experiment. If you've never heard about this, would you rather have 1 penny today that compounds every single day, or would you rather have $1 billion or $1 million in one go? I would always choose the penny that compounds, because if you do the math, it just doubles each and every single time. So you have like 1, and then you have 2, and then you have 4, 6, 18, 24, 36, so on and so forth, and then it just keeps going and going, and you would have that $1 million within less than a month, if I'm remembering correctly. So you want to do things. Small acts compound upon themselves. You changing your daily routine, you changing what you consume, you changing your ideas and your mentality will start to compound upon itself. And then people will be like, how'd you get so lucky? It's like, you didn't get lucky. You prepared. And when you prepare, you are met with every adversity, every challenge, and you overcome it in the best ways that you possibly can, because you've been practicing, you've been trying, you've been testing. You've seen the overview of what is possible. And as you do more of that, everything else around you begins to change. If you like these videos, please subscribe with the channel notifications on, because I make these videos every single day because I like consistency, like I told you. And if you are looking to climb a mountain, or you have a mountain that you want to climb, leave that down below. Like, I'd love to hear about what you have going on, your own perspective and your own way of like climbing mountains or whatever you're struggling with. I'd love to help you overcome that, and I can do that in the comments down below. So just leave that down there, and I'll catch you in tomorrow's video. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it.